Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going to discuss about different road geometric definitions. So, we already studied about the uh, different alignments, and we have studied about different alignments and the characteristics, and have studied about different component parts of road. So, in that, we have studied different component subgrades and sub-base, base codes, and the wearing codes. So we have seen that in the subgrade, it is the top of the ground, means bottom, almost bottom, and top on the ground, and almost uh, bottom of the road. So it is act as a foundation, and it will distributes the load over a larger area. And we have seen about the subbase also. Subbase is, if the subgrade is strong, then there is no need of subbase. Okay, and what is the function of that one is to protect the subgrade, and it will improve the drainage. Okay, drainage facility, and it will reduce the cost of pavement. If subbase was kept, means that will reduce the cost of payment also. And it will, next comes to the base course. Base course, we have seen that it will transfer from whatever the load which is coming at the surface course, or you can say has a varying course, that load will be distributed to the bottom subgrade by means of base course. It acts as a mediator in between the base course, subbase, and the varying course, and it should be strong to uh, support the wearing codes, and also avoid the distortions on the wearing codes, and it should reduce the thickness of the wearing codes. Means if we provide the base codes, the thickness of the wearing codes what is will be there. If it is strong, it will reduce the base codes, wearing thickness of wearing codes. Next comes to wearing codes. It is the topmost, which is the contact with the vehicles, or you can say the road traffic, and it should be impervious, and it should not have the drain water. If the rainwater or drain water penetrate on the road, it should be run off easily, quickly, so that if the water penetrate on it, life of roads gets reduced. Okay, if the water gets stagnant on the way bearing course, the life of road will get reduced. So that's why it should be smooth, and functions are for wearing course. It should be smooth and stable, and it should drain off the water, rainwater easily and fastly, and should give strength to the road structure. So it's main parts of the uh, wearing course. Here, this is um, about the component parts of road structure. Next, here we are going to study about the road geometric. So, what are they? We will say it. So, before going to the what is going to be studied about in this, we are still in road geometries. So, the cross section of the pavement influence the life of the pavement. So, it depends upon the life of the cross section only. The life of payment depends on. So, it main purpose of the road is to provide comfort and safety for riding. So, of these payments, surface characteristics affect of these. So, what are the characteristics of surface payment? Characteristics of payment are surface payment are there: camber, shoulders, and other geometry of various cross-sectional elements, which we are going to see here. So, what are they? Carriageway, shoulders, roadway width, right of way, and building line, control line, median. Median is in between two roads, it will be there. And camber or cross slope, and crown, side slope, curb, guardrail, side rail, other facilities. So in this, we are going to some of the topics here we are covering. So we are covering about the carriageway, and we are covering about the roadway with other formation with, and we are covering the right of way, and we are covering the camper or slow cross loops and curb and guardrails. Here we are going to cover all these topics. So first we are what it is there we'll see. What is the characteristics? What is the pavement surface characteristics? So, what is the pavement? So, for safe and comfortable driving, four aspects are required. First one is the friction between the wheels and the pavement surface. So, the friction which was developed in between the wheels and the pavement surface should be perfect, so that only whenever the brake is applied on the vehicle, it should give some friction so that the vehicle can stop. So for that, the contact in between the wheels and the pavement surface should be perfect, and smoothness of the road. So if they're so hard, then the petrol consumption will be more. So the smoothness is also important. The right reflection, the light reflection. So if the road is so smooth, so the glaring, you can say, that light reflection will be affected to the vehicle. So here we have to see the light reflection also, and characteristics of the top of the pavement surface and drainage, and most important is the drainage. So drainage to water. So whatever the water, rainwater on the surface should be drained off. It is should be drain off so fastly, so that only we can protect our payment. So these are the first thing we have, friction between the vehicle and the pavement we have seen. So what do you mean by friction? So friction between the and the pavement surface is of crucial factor in the design of horizontal curves and thus the safe operating speed. So the main when the vehicle is passing on the curves, there it is important, friction is important, because there we're getting a super elevation factor. So in order to see that super elevation, so we have to see the friction. This is also important factor in designing of the roads. So further, it also affect the acceleration and the deceleration ability of the vehicles. So lack of adequate friction can cause skidding or slipping of vehicles. So if the road is so smooth, so friction, if we apply the brake, so what it will create adequate friction. So what it will cause, it causes skipping, skidding of the vehicle. So the most important factor is the friction in in designing the roads. So here we have to see the so these are the characteristics which are, or these are the most important factors in designing where we have to see. Next comes to, so skidding happens when the path traveled along the road surface is more than the circumferential movement of the wheels due to friction. So skidding occurs on the curves we have said. So where when when the circumferential movement is more uh, than the road surface, then there is a chances of getting a skidding of vehicles. So slip occurs when the wheel revolves more than the corresponding longitudinal movement along the road. So skidding and slip are different. Skidding happens when the circumferential movement of the wheels due to friction is more along the road. So then the skidding will be occur when the turning is when the vehicle is making a turning, a long turn, so along the road. So there is a the wheel will get friction. Due to friction, the wheel get turned. So there is a chance of skidding over there. Or if we apply a sudden brake, then there is a chance of getting of skidding of vehicle. Slip. Slip occurs when the wheel revolves more than the corresponding longitudinal movement. So when the slip occurs when there is a uh, uh, more uh, s- more speed if you are getting, and suddenly the wheel goes on revolving after applying the um, brake also, then there is a chance of slip of a vehicle. So these are the various factors that affect the friction. So in that, first we have to see the types of payment, which type of payment we have to, which we have to apply, which type of payment we are using at that location is also important factor for the design. We are using the bituminous or concrete or gravel. Next, condition of the payment. It is dry or wet, hot or cold conditions. So where we are constructing that road, the hot condition or in the cold condition. Like that, we have to see the weather conditions also. Next, condition of the tire, new tires or old tires. So the friction is depending upon the type of payment also. It will depends upon the condition, whether condition of the payment also, and it will depends upon the tire condition, whether it is a new tire or old tire, and also it applies the speed and load of the vehicle. So in the friction will depends on all the different categories. Or first one is the type of payment, and next one is the condition of the payment, and next one is the condition of the tire, and the speed and load of the vehicle. So these are all the factors which are affecting to the friction. So at the time of designing, we have to see all these factors. Next, the frictional force that develops between the wheel and the pavement is the load acting multiplied by a factor called the coefficient of friction, which is denoted as F. So here, the frictional force that develops between the wheel and the pavement is the load acting multiplier F. This is so the choice of the friction is a very complicated issue since it depends on many desirable variables. So I also recommended for the longitudinal coefficient of the longitudinal friction is 0.35 to 0.4 depending on speed. So coefficient of lateral friction has 0.15. So coefficient of the lateral friction was 0.15. So here so here we can see we are calculating or we are saying about the stopping side distance. So here some formula is there which is coming in the next classes. 0.278 Vt plus V square by 254 F plus or minus 0.01 N. So in this, we are considering the F. F is the coefficient of friction, which is in between 0.4 to 0.35. Here we have seen. So these all friction. Here we are saying that friction is also a important factor that is considered for the design of the road. So next comes to unevenness. So unevenness, it is always desirable to have an uneven surface, but it is seldom possible to have such a one even if a road is constructed with uh, high quality pavers, high quality pavers. It is possible to develop unevenness due to pavement failures. So here we have to construct high quality pavers. So unevenness should not be there. So it should develop if any unevenness is there, it will create the pavement failures, which will affect the vehicle operating cost and speed, riding comfort, safety, fuel consumption, and wear and tear of wheels. So unevenness of the vehicle should not be there. So it will affect the vehicle operating cost. So riding comfort will not be there. So road should not have unevenness. It should have maximum smooth. So And next comes to light reflection. So what do you mean by light reflections? White roads have good visibility at night but cause glare during died, dead. So black holes has no glare during day but has poor visibility at night. So concrete roads concrete roads have better visibility and less glare. So here three types of roads we have seen: white roads and black roads and concrete roads. So white roads are you can see cement concrete blocks where you can see. So those have visibility at night but causes the glare during daytime. So in the black holes it have glare during daytime, has no glare during daytime but has less visibility than at night. So concrete roads have better visibility and less glare. So better we have to use the concrete roads because it has a better visibility and also less glare. The drainage. So the drainage of the payment is also one of the factor which affects the road surface, because if it is impermeable, it should be impermeable to prevent the seepage of water into the pavement place. For example, if the it should be so strong that the rainwater should be drained off. At the same time, the water should not the seepage water under the ground, it should not come up. So the subgrade is so strong, the conditions should be so strong that it should not percolate the water from the seepage should not be taken from the ground surface. So that much of strong should be taken. So further, so the pavement impermeable to prevent the seepage of water into the pavement layers. Further, both the geometry and the texture of pavement surface should help in draining out the water from the surface in less time. So this is about the uh, uh, overview of the pavement. You can say the pavement should have good friction. It should have, and it should have uh, um, good friction. It should have a good visibility, a glare, you can say. Yes, it should have good friction and should have uh, it should not have unevenness. It should have even it. Okay, unevenness and light reflection and a drainage facility it should have. So at the time of the designing, we have to see all the factors which is there. So these are the important. Next comes to geometric conditions of a roadway. In that, first one is the width of carriageway. So, width of the carriageway or the width of the pavement depends on the width of traffic line and the number of lanes. So, in the width of carriageway, you can see the width of pavement depends upon the traffic line. So, number of lanes, you can say for highway it will be different, and for the village roads, it will be different. So carriageway width will be different for village roads and the highway roads. So the width of traffic lane depends upon the and the clearance. So the for highway, it will the heavy vehicles will be coming. For example, transportation having a more length of vehicle, you can say heavy load heavy load vehicle. So in the village road it will not come. So depends on the width, and also it should have clearance also. It should have vehicle width of the vehicle and should have clearance. So side clearance improves the operating speed and safety. So the maximum permissible width of the vehicle is general 2.44. So the width of vehicle general considered as 2.4, and the side clearance for a single lane it is for 0.68 meters. So these are the we have to remember uh, for the width of the road. So This requires a minimum single line, you can say, single line with this 3.75 meters for a single line road. Okay, and however, the side clearance required is about 0.53. So the clearance should be 0.53 meters, and the minimum single line width should be 3.75 meters. So if it is for two lanes, on either side, it can be 1.06 meters. Clearance can be there. So for a two-line road, require 3.5 meters for each lane. So the desirable carriageway width recommended. So what are the desirable carriageway widths for a single line and double line? So two line with no curbs, you should have 7 meters. If it is single line, it should have 3.75 meters. So here before we have seen that 2.44 meters is vehicle width, and it should have 0.5 meters clearance. So on either side, if it is having 0.5 and 0.55 means it comes 1.1, and rest of that one is the 2.44. Overall, it comes to 3.75 meters. So single line have that much of carriage with it, and if it is two line rise curves are there, so it should have 7.5 meters. If it is having intermediate carriage, okay, so in between carriageway is there, then 5.5 meters should be there. If it is multi-lane, you should have 3.5 meters. So say for the single lane and the two lanes with the curbs and without curbs having 7 meters and 7.5 meters. So we can see for the highways, we have generally 7 meters mm, width of road is there. Here the vehicle width we can see 2.44, and after the tires, two tires, that some gap is there, that is the clearance, and here you can see the 0.55 meters, here the 0.55 meters, and here it is a 0.68 meters. For single lane it's 0.68 should be there. For the double lane, here 0.55 meters are there. So overall, including this width of the vehicle and the clearance, double lane for the two lane 7 meters, and for the single lane it's a 3.75 meters. Here we can see the shoulders. Here overall, the width from here to here, it comes the 3.75 meters. After the white line here appearing, that after that white line, it comes the shoulders, having 6 feet shoulders. In between here, we can see the travel line. Okay, this is the two lanes. Here travel line having 3 points, overall having 3.5 and 3.5, so forth. Next, here we are seeing about the shoulders. So what it mean by shoulder? A shoulder are provided on either side of a road. The width of between outer edge of carriageway and the inner edge of formation width. So overall, from the from the road end, from this road end to road end, bituminous, where it is a tar road, you can say the tar road ending to tar road starting, that is completely has a formation with it is there. So the width between the outer edge of the carriageway and the inner edge of the formation width of drain is called as a shoulder. So the shoulders are provided with earth surface or gravel or WBM. So here we are seeing as a WBM. So in some cases it may be of a gravel, or it may be of earth also, and gravel or a surface also, or asphaltic. So why they require to drain off the water, okay, and they should have sufficient load bearing capacity to support the loaded vehicles. So whatever the loads are there, if they want to park aside and they want to uh, have a break, so they can park at the shoulders side of the roads. So what is it? The main function of the shoulders are to give lateral stability to carriageway, so they will give more stability to the carriageway, and also it provide a parking space in emergency. So here I said no, the stability as how if carriageway stability, how much it is there, that much of stability should be there for the shoulders also, and it will giving side parking in emergency, and also providing space for repair works of vehicles. So some of the vehicles will get a breakdown at some places, so those vehicles have to park at side, so we cannot park it on the road. So those, for those repair works, we can have that shoulder use, and it can provide the space of overtaking vehicles. If some of the vehicles want to overtake, so this camber will be useful. Oh, sorry, this shoulders will be useful. So that shoulders are also to be provided camber for draining of rainwater. So here we can see, so if the national highway and the state highway, for the plain areas, the minimum width of the shoulders is 3. If it is for the hilly areas, the minimum shoulders should be 1.25 meters for a single lane. If it is for a 2 lane, the national highway and the state highway, the shoulder should be 2.5 meters, and minimum shoulders for the hilly areas 0.9 meters. So here we are seeing a minimum with the 3 meters should be provided. We can provide more, but minimum should have 3 meters. For major district roads, minimum shoulder should 1.8 meters, and for the hilly areas 0.5 meters should be there. And other district roads we should have 1.8 meters, and for the hilly areas 0.5 meters. So other district and the major district roads both are same. In the case of village roads, the plain areas 1.2, but in the hilly areas same as 0.5 meters. So these are the things where we have to look after for the carriage way. These are the minimum things for the width of the shoulders, it when excluding the carriageways. Next comes to width of formation, or can be called as a formation width. So width of formation or the roadway width is the sum of the width of pavements or carriageway, including the separators and the shoulders. I mean to say, here we have seen in the figure that this including the shoulders. So from this end to this end, the total comes as a formation width. Total comes as a formation width. So this does not include the extra land in formatting or cutting. So the values are suggested. So it does not having any extra um, cutting and form any cutting extra land is will not be there for the width of the formation. So the entire road which are in use, that is called as a width of formation. So width of formation is the top width of road embankment or bottom width of the road way in cutting, excluding the side rails. So in this side rails are excluded, it's not included. So here we have seen this one. So uh, in this, we can see the width of the formation roads are for the plain areas and for the hilly areas. For national highway or state highway, it is ruling gradient, ruling terrain. We have given as 12 percentage, and here for the hilly area 6.25 to 8.8, and for the major district roads we have seen 9 percentage, and here we are giving as a 4.75 major district codes, and other district codes we can see here 7.5 to 9, and for the hilly areas 4.75. and for the village roads is giving has 7.5 meters, and for the hill plain areas we're giving 7.5 meters, and for the hilly areas it's a 4 meters. Like that we are giving the width. Next comes to right of way. So right of way or land width is the width of land acquired for the um, road along its alignment. So it's should be adequate to accommodate all the cross sectional. So right of way is the land width, is the width of the load acquired for the road. So before going to construct a road, that road we will do the surveys and we will get the final survey to that. That is called as the right of way. So that in that we are designing the road for a single lane or double lane. That depends on. So acquired land for the along its alignment. So it should be adequate to accommodate all cross-sectional elements of the highway and may reasonably provide for future development also. So the land requirement at the time of the survey, it should be useful for the future expansion also. Like that we have to take the land, it should have future development also to prevent the ribbon development along its highway. Control lines or building lines may be provided. So we will do some benchmarks, or you can say a guardrails are provided at the end of the control lines. So from this to this is a road coming line, or governmental property which is in future it is coming for a expansion of the road, or control lines or the building lines may be provided. So some points has to be boundaries has to be kept for the road so that the public will not occupy those places. So other you can say right is the land. You can say that land is reserved for future development. It is desirable to acquire the more land because the cost of adjoining land invariably increases after the length of a road. So for future expansion also the road will have to be futurely it should occupy, because after laying of the road automatically the land rate will increase more. So afterwards it will become difficult to take the land. So in that we have seen the control line and the building line. So what do you mean by the control line? Control line which represents the nearest limits of future controlled building activity in relation to the road. So if the road is coming means automatically the buildings will develop at that location, and future uncontrolled future control we will lose. So there should be nearest limitation should be there for here to here that the land belongs to the road. Like that limitations or nearest limits of future control should be prepped. And a building line represents a line on either side of the road between which and the road no building activities permitted to at all. So the right of way which is governed by. So in this what we are seeing that for the future expansion we are future save we are uh, we are saving the property, you can say. Okay, saving the property for future expansion of the road. So if there is no limitation that then the uh, landlords or the public who are there, they will get occupied those places, and it will make a problem in future. So here we are saying that right of way is governed by width of formation. So it depends on the category of the highway and the width of roadway and road margins. So the right of way depends upon what it for category of highway. So it is coming national highway or state highway or major district roads. Next comes to the width of the road. So, which type of road? A single lane or two lanes? Width of the roadway also, and road margins also affect to that one. Road margins nothing but the shoulders you can say. So those also important. Parking places. So next, height of embankment or depth of cutting. It is also governed a topographic of the vertical alignment. So height of embankment. So how much cutting and how much filling is to be done. That is also a important factor. Next comes to side slopes. Side slope embankment. For the depends upon the height of the slope and the soil type. This is also important factor considered. So in that the drainage system is also we have already discussed drainage system and the size which depends upon the rainfall. So right of way, what are the factors involved in this? Width of the formation, height of embankment, side slopes and drainage system. And considering the side distance also we are considering. So drainage system, in this we are seeing that the size it depends upon the rainfall and the topography, etc. So drainage system. So how much of rainfall is coming to that area? That is also a considerable for the length of the roads. So it will depends upon the topography and it will side distance consideration. So on curves, there is a restriction to the visibility on the inner side of the curve. So due to presence of some restrictions like building structures, so um, how many curves are coming? So visibility of the area. So any building structures are coming. So those all those will be consideration and reserve land for future life. So land has to be acquired in advance, anticipating future developments like the widening of the road. So in future for future development only, we have to keep the land in uh, land acquired in future for anticipating future developments. So next, here we are seeing that road buildings. So road buildings in the national highway. Uh, So here we are seeing the right of way because the right place for the national and state highways. Ranges are there for the ranges. In that you can see normal ranges of open areas and open areas it will be 45 for national highway and for open areas, it's 45 in the plain area or range here, okay, and for the hilly area, it's 24, you can say, okay, and for major district roads, it's 25, and in the hilly area, it's 18, and the other district roads, you can see that occupying of 15 liters, and here hilly areas also 15, village roads is 12, and hilly areas also 9. So for the it's all for open areas. Okay, this all is considered for the open areas having the ranges. So this much of area has to be occupied for future developments. Okay, next comes to for the built-up areas. Built-up areas national highway range comes to 30, and for hilly areas 20, major district is 20, and hilly areas 15. Other district is we can see 15, and here hilly areas is 20. And for village roads is 10, and the hilly areas is 9. So like that we have to see the future expansion for the right of way. So next comes to the importance of reserved land. So the Reserved land is emphasized by the following. So extra width of land is available for the construction of the roadside facilities. So we have to provide extra land for the future expansion and also future expansion of the road. So land acquisition is not a possible land because the land may occupy for various purposes such as buildings, business, etc. So if the road is laid, so after laying of the road, there is a problem of land acquisition. So before itself, we have to keep control future expansion. So the normal flow requirements for the building and open areas as specified here. We have seen already the table before itself. Next comes to cable. So cable, it's nothing but chamber of a cant is the cross slope provided to rise middle of the road surface in the traverse direction to drain off water from road surface. The objective of providing the road camber are surface protection, especially from the gravel and the bituminous course. So the surface should be protected. So for that purpose, we are providing the camber. So next comes to separate protection by proper drainage. So for not permeating the water into the separate, so if we provide some camber, some clay, so that the water will go run off from that area, and quick drying of pavement which in turn increases safety. So these are the some uh, next too steep slope is undesirable and it will erode the surface. So if we keep more steep, then there is a chances of getting of surface erosion. So cable is measured in 1 in N. I mean to say 1 in thousand. So N is a percentage. Okay, and value depends upon the type of payment. So as per the IRC, so here is chamber is chamber specifications are given. So for the thickness of the bituminous chamber, 1 in 70 to 2. So 1 in 7, 1.722 we can provide. So here the gradient here we can say 1 in 60 to 1 in 50 for the bituminous or for the cement concrete roads of chamber we can provide. For the thin type of bituminous surface we have to provide 1 in 50 to 1 in 40, and for the waterborne macadam or it's a gravel roads there we can provide 1 in 40 to 1 in 33, and for the earth roads we can provide 1 in 33 to 1 in 25. So these are the slopes what we are providing for the roads. So in other words, what you look at the cable, the rise given to the center line of the carriageway. So the here we can see this is a road surface. Okay, this is a formation with it's a cable. Here one in and you can see one one vertical to horizontal and so here we can see 1 in 40 and 1 in 50 are the gradients are provided for the cement concrete for the bituminous flexible and the rigid payments you can see. So how much? So here we are providing a parabolic shape. So if you provide a triangle, that the vehicle will not stick to that one. So here we are providing some parabolic shape for the camera and straight line camera where we can provide the straight line we are going to see. So this is a straight line camera. Here the combination of the straight line and the parabolic. So these are the three different campers we are providing for the road surface. So here this is the carriageway. Okay, with the carriageway here, this ends you can have the shoulders. This is only the carriageway, and in other words, you can say cable. So some having slope. Here we are making some slope. So the ground slope provided to rise the middle of the road. Here we can rise in the middle of the road. Here we rise in the middle of the road. So road surface in the transverse directions to drain of the water. Why we are providing the rise in the middle of the road to drain of the water? And you can say at the center we are providing the alignment, the center line. So the center of the carriageway with the reference to the edge is called as a cable. Okay, the cross section road surface shows the convexity approach and highest point of the curved surface. So here we see the convexity. Convexity. Okay, so these are the chambers of different types. So if you provide heavy chamber, it is a steep, very steep. So what is the disadvantages of that? The shoulders on either side of the carriage wheel may get washed off due to increase of the velocity of water. So if three to more steeper, the water which is on the road, it will be washed off. On the washed off, and it will due to the velocity of water, and it will the road will be uh, worn out. So stability of high-rise vehicle will be affected. So if any high vehicle, high load vehicle is going on, so what will happen? The the affected and the washed off area, the vehicle will go down and will fall. At the stability will lose at that location, that vehicle. So for high speed vehicles, the tendency to move towards the edges increases. So if you provide more speed, then what will the vehicle will not move at the center of the road, it will go to the edge of the road. Road users use more at the central portion of the road and gets the one. So what they will do is instead of getting what they will do is they will get the edges so that to avoid the vehicle to the edge. So road users what they will do, they make more use of the central portion of the road. So like that will be effectively um, cable. So steep slopes are not allowed. Next comes to curve. Curves are nothing but indicates the boundary edges, boundary between the carriageway and the shoulders or islands of footway. Here, this is the curve. You can say this is the shoulders and this is the carriageway. So, if this is the curve where we are seeing. So, curve indicates the boundary between the carriageway and the shoulders or islands or the footpath. Different types of curves are there. In that low multiple curves, so it's just like a step between the footpath and the road with just like a step with curves. So in that different types are there. Low or multiple curves. This type of curves are provided such that they encourage the traffic to remain in the through traffic lanes and also allow the driver to enter the showroom's area with different. So this type of low multiple curbs are there. So if it is not the height is less, so that will such that they encourage the traffic to remain in the traffic lane. So the curb height is less compared to the road height is the, tra- the people the vehicle will not go move not move beside to that one because it will get difficult to have get into the road. So low multiple curbs had the room. The height of the curve is about 10 centimeters above the pavement edge with a slope which allows the vehicle to glide easily. This is usually provided at medians, at channelization schemes and also helps in longitudinal drainage. So generally the height of curve should be 10 centimeters in the pavement edges we have to provide. So in some of the curbs are there are semi-barrier type curbs. So when the pedestrians traffic is high, these curbs are provided. So their height should be 15 centimeters above the pavement. So this type of curb pavements uh, encroachment of parking vehicles, but in acute emergency it is possible to drive over the curb with some difficulty. So semi-barrier types, if any emergencies are there, then we can use the semi-barriers, semi-curves. When it comes to barrier type curbs, they are designed to discourage vehicles from leaving the pavement, so they are provided when there is considerable amount of pedestrian in traffic. So they are placed at a height of 20 centimeters. So there is a more people are walking on the pedestrians, then their height will be more, up by 20 centimeters. So the vehicle could not move on the track. So in some cases, we have seen before low gradient and height of cup is more. In some, so that with any emergencies, vehicle can move on the cup and before this. But here we are seeing that various type curves, there is no chance of getting to on the footpath. So here we can see mountable, semi-variable, and the barrier type and submerged type. So here we have seen the submerged. So the submerged is low mountable. So the for the carriageway, it will not come to this place. The vehicle will not because we get down to this portion. And so this semi-parabol, we can have this use of carriageway, footpath, and this is a footpath, and this is the width of the height of the road. So if you want, you can use this one. It's semi-parietal, but in the parietal, it's not possible. But it's not possible to use that footpath in the carriageway. Here you can see the vehicle will not able to get on this one if the height is low. Next comes to the parking lines. So what is the need of parking lines? It is used to park your vehicle to the side. So that parking lines are providing urban lanes for side parking so that safe for the vehicles moving by the road. So the vehicle which is moving on the road is safe when is safe because if the vehicle stopped at the side, it becomes difficult to the side road user. If the vehicle be parked over there and if we want to go to buy or something else, the park vehicle and we rent off from that vehicle means the who is who, who is traveling on that road will get a problem or difficulty because of vehicle parking. So time will be lost. So that for that purpose, parking lane should be there. So the parking lane should have a minimum of 3 meters width in case of the parallel parking and also footpath. Why we will provide it footpath? Because a right of way here we have seen that shoulder and a footpath all should be in future. We have to at the time of the land acquisition, we have to keep all this consideration right of way. So to pedestrians, especially in urban areas, they are provided for safety of the pedestrians. So lots of people will be walking on the road in the urban areas. But because of busy schedules, so they will come from the road. If they walk on the road, it will get interrupted with the traffic. So they require a pedestrian. So When both the pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic is high, minimum width is for the footpath is 1.5 meters and maybe increased based on the traffic. Minimum width of the footpath should be 1.5 meters. Should be if the traffic is more, we can provide more width also. The footpath should be easier as well as a payment and more smoother than that of to reduce the pedestrian to use the footpath. So it should be friendly. The pedestrian should can come and go and should be smoother and also can go to use that footpath. The next one to the guardrails. So guardrails is also important. They are provided at the edge of the shoulders. So we have seen that shoulder should have at the end of the carriageway we have the shoulders. That shoulders usually when the vehicles on the embankment they serve to prevent the vehicles from the running of the embankment. So what is the requirement of the guardrails? That if you are going the embankment is there, okay, going height. So at that time there is a making of run of that side, run of the side. So to prevent that, we have to provide a guardrails, especially when the height of film exceeds the 3 meters. So when the road height is exceeding from the horizontal to 3 meters, vertically it is increasing to 3 meters, and we have to provide the guardrails at that location. So various designs of guardrails are there. Guard stones painted in alternate black and white, you can see on the roads, and they also give better visibility of the curves at night under headlights of the vehicle. So we provide the white and black. So what they will do at the time of the heavy traffic or at the time of night time that will glare that will reflect so that we can assume that there is a curve or any tunnel is there, any embankment is coming there, so they will provide the guardrails so to make alert to the drivers. So overall, in this we have studied about the characteristics of the cross-sectional elements of different roads. So the road design because they increase the safety and the comfort. So why they have required here we studied of all those because they impact the safety of the vehicles and also safety of the people. So chamber provides for drainage, frictional resistance. So we have studied chamber with the chamber. So chamber made with rise of center of the road or carriageway. Okay, so why we provide the cable to drain off the water and to provide not to move the not to skip the vehicle from uh, outer inner edge to the outer edge to make the move the vehicle on the proper straight line and cable slope we have to provide. So main purpose of cables to for drainage also and frictional resistance we have to see and reflectivity for the safety also we have to see and the road elements such as we have seen about the curb, shoulders, carriageway, width of road, the carriageway width, okay, and next comes to the formation width we have seen and should be adequate enough for smooth, safe, and efficient speed for the traffic. So IRC have implemented the minimum values for all these projects. And we have seen the IRC recommended values also. We have to follow all those recommended values so that we all should be in the safe while going on the roads. So these are the topics we have seen in the first we have seen about the uh, friction and also unevenness of the road and the drainage facility we have seen and also for the um, light reflection also we have seen. Afterwards, we have seen about the design, geometric designs of road that we have seen that camber, width of the road, or can we say carriageway, and we have seen the formation width, we have seen about the slope of the road, a camber, we have seen about the shoulders, and afterwards we have seen about the curve. In the curve we have seen about the different types of curves in that low barrier and low barrier mountains, semi-barrier cups, all those we have seen. And the shoulders, why we have provided the shoulders for any repair works they will stay on the roads. They should be kept to the side of the road. So for that parking is required. That parking place is nothing but the shoulders we have seen, and we have seen that different types of lanes are there. In that single lane and the two lanes, in the single lane the width of the road is 3.75 meters, and the width of the road in the two lanes is 7 meters. With the curb is 7.5 meters. Without curb is 7 meters. In the we have seen that for the width of the road 3.75 meters, which includes how we have calculated that one. The based on the width of vehicle is 2.44 meters, and then 0.65 and 0.65 for the clearance. So the single has decided depends upon the width of the vehicle, and the some clearance should be side clearance should be there. Why we have provided the side clearance for any overtake required? There that the side clearance is useful. For that purpose, we have taken also any speed of the vehicle. Any vehicle is coming from the back. For that purpose, we have to see it from the sides of the vehicle. We can see. So that is depends upon that one. And we have seen about the footpath and the parking lane also. Why we are providing parking without the parking lanes, then it will in future, nowadays parking also become more important because all are having the vehicles, and if any they want to move to any um, um, want to go to any recreational places. So they need a parking place. So the vehicle should park. It cannot put on the road like that. So parking is also became a factor, important factor. And footpath for urban areas, footpath is also required, and the minimum width of footpath for the urban areas is 1.5 meters, and it can be more also depends upon the traffic. And we have seen the right of way. Right of way is nothing but for the future expansion of the road. When the road is going to be constructed, we have to land acquired should be more for the future expansion also. Because after constructing the road the cost of land will be more more uneconomical, and could not be get that land. So for that purpose only we have to uh, acquire a more land before itself.